First of all, I want to thank the three of you and come here and of course welcome in my little playpens. And I need one innocent hand to pick the name of the winner. I have here 73 names.
Who takes the part in
73 people that clearly stated they wanted to win the soldering torch.
73 людини хочуть виграти цю фігню.
You're gonna pick one. What?
It's only try.
Take one.
Take. Візьми один.
Take.
Візьми один.
One.
Один. Давай, одну. Вибери. Окей.
Before you read it, maybe you present yourself. You are
Max.
Max.
Max, Олеся, Аліна.
Ah. And may we know where you come from?
No, ти Аліна. From Ukraine.
Ukraine.
We from Ukraine.
That's far away from here.
Yeah, it's very far.
What happened? You went for a walk and get lost or something?
Oh no, because we go from to Belgium because in our country.
Yeah.
So,
Don't worry. In fact, I knew it. Right. What is marked here?
Henrik H.V.
Henrik H.V. I will keep it in front of the camera so every will. So Henrik, congratulations. Try congratulations.
Congratulations.
You do better than I do.
But what is it? I don't know. Who have a channel Rustinox? We have him today.
Yeah.
Okay.
And thank you very much for your help. Yeah. Of course,
help because you can do this.
The people who watching this, they know my name. There's about 2,000 people who are gonna watch this video. I have no idea how they managed to squeeze 2,000 people in this little handicap, but they did. So that's good.
They like this. It's good.
So as we said, Henrik sent me an email. The email address is of course, as always, in description. I would like to ask you one little question.
Okay. Тихо, Аліна.
Yeah?
Аліна, тихо сейчас.
If one day there's someone knocking on your door, a complete stranger with maybe another religion, another color of skin, what do? You let him in and give him a bowl of soup? Or do you say, go somewhere else?
Of course we help. Racism is not for us. For me.
Give me.
Racism is very
That's
nice.
the right answer. This thing is the gib from the tool slide of the shaper. There's a bit of wear in it, and when I put it at maximum depth, even then it's not enough. So what I did, I used a piece of paper that's over here as a packing material, put it back in, and it works like a charm. I ordered bronze packing material to put in here so it will be fixed the way it should be. And then I asked myself, is it possible to make myself a new gib? Of course, it's absolutely pointless to make a new gib because this one is perfectly fine with the packing material. It will work fantastically. But where is the challenge? So I decided to give it a try here on the decal. First I wanted to make a decal gib. This one is for the horizontal movement, but the maximum travel of this machine is also the length of this part, so it will be a little bit complicated. So as an exercise, I made a gib for the shaper. And here it is for a part. Of course, I made a video for the making of, but that's where my computer crashed, and so this video is lost forever. But I will explain a bit how I made this thing. First, I took this piece of scrap, mounted it on the table and cleaned up the face. So I'm sure now that this face is in line with the machine. I drilled 2 holes in my part here and here also, and then I mounted the gib or future gib on here. Cleaned up both faces, no problem, and then I installed the table at the right angle. It's easy to measure because I used the original gib to put on this surface. So my indicator after a sweep will stay at 0, yeah, easy peasy, and I cut out this part. When done, I installed the table, I tilted at 60 degrees to cut this side and this side, and everything went fine, even perfectly fine. And that was until I started to take measurements. My idea was to measure the height and then compare with this one. Oh, it's the other way around, like this. And when I have the same height on both, more or less, now I know where I have to cut the new gib. So I'm sure that I copied exactly the same, but in fact 1/10 of a millimeter thicker. That's all. And this is where I saw the little mistake I made. This one is the one I need. This one is the one I made. That's not the same. But now that I managed to dry my tears, let's start again, but this time on the shaper. And it's even more pointless to do this because the packing material arrived. So all I have to do is cut a piece out, put it in here, game over. Let's make a part for the shaper on the shaper. I was looking for the right piece of scrap metal to mount my workpiece on, and of course I couldn't find. So I will use the base of my gear making holding thing here. I drilled 2 holes so I can bolt it up here. To be sure it's in line with the shaper, I will first take a little cleanup pass. Maybe give it a bit of juice. I set the feed rate at minimum, which is 1/10 of a millimeter per stroke, so it will take a little bit longer, but that's not really a problem. Now that this is nice and clean and flat and in line with the shaper, I can install my blank here. something like this, for example. This face is now finished. I marked with some Sharpie which one is the front side, just to make it easier for me. And I countersunk these two holes a little bit deeper. So now let's do face number 2. That should do it. When I checked the first face, that is now of course below here, I had a little bit of a bow in this part. So now I hope when I cut this side it will be flat again. Let's cross the fingers. When I put the indicator in place here, set to 0, and I move the RAM, there's less than 10 microns difference. So it looks promising. Less than 1/100th of a millimeter for a machine that needs some attention. I think that's not too bad. Right, let's put it back at the beginning point. To avoid to make the same mistake that on this gib, I marked the dimensions here, and the difference between here and here is 1.5 millimeter. So now that I know that this surface is in perfect shape, let's put the original gib in place. We should have 1.5 millimeter less. That's 1. That looks good. I'm gonna lift the part so that after one sweep the indicator will stay at 0. I think we're getting somewhere here. Here you can see a little bit the shims I put in place, so the angle is set 0. And we hear the neighbor's chickens. And here 0 again, almost. And we can see here that this movement, so there's a little slight bow in this part. Right, if I set my indicator here, I should have 1.5 millimeter. 1 millimeter up to 50. I think it looks good. Let's cut. I'm taking very light cuts, just a 0.5 millimeter, just to make sure the part doesn't move. So this is gonna take a while. Because one of these two surfaces will touch the dovetail, will move on it, I finish it off with the shear tool, so I will have a nice and beautiful smooth surface. That looks really good, really good. I set the tool slide at 30 degrees, because that's of course the angle I need to cut on my part here. Because I have to cut both sides, it could create a little bit of confusion how to set the clapper. Now, it's very easy. But I explain this because I see in the comments and I see in videos and I receive emails from you, more and more people are getting into shapers, which is fantastic, of course. Love it. To set the clapper at the right angle, now the angle maybe is not really important, but there's a very easy trick. Take something. This is a little shim. And you put it between the surface you want to cut and the cutting tool. Now it's stuck. Lift the clapper box, and if it's free, the clapper is in the right angle. I explained exactly the same thing in a long time ago video, but do it again. If we put some eyes here and we imagine that the cutting tool is the mouth, yeah, always look at the food. The cut surface is this side, so we turn to the cut surface. The eyes look at the cut. When I'm gonna cut this surface, this side, of course the clapper will be the other way around. Yesterday evening I was working on this little gib here, and I set the tool slide on the other side and I installed the extended tool hole, because otherwise tool slide would touch the dovetail here and I hadn't enough stick out. And that's why I had a nice little bozo, but that's not on video. It happens. So I install and I tighten by hand this bolt. I start the machine to set the zeros and I completely forgot about this bolt still loose. The tool holder slipped a bit down and pushed the made in Germany clamp off and bath on the floor. Now luckily nothing broken, so I set it up again. Now I'm ready to cut this side. The only place suitable to make measurements is on this tiny little spot here. A little bit more. Officially, my part is now at dimensions and it's time to take it off of here. And this screw on this side, I cut a little bit too much in it, so I can't put my screwdriver anymore. Yes. It left razor sharp burrs on here, so I will take them off and let's have a closer look. For only this time I think I'm glad the shaper work is finished. Let me explain you why. When I run it, I don't know if the camera picks it up, but it makes a terrible knocking sound. The problem is, if a shaper makes a knocking sound, it means it's knocking on heaven's door. So now I know what my next project will be. Take this thing apart and see what's happening. And now let's take measurements. I zeroed my indicator more or less on the middle part of the gib. On the old one, of course, and if I move to the new one, it's 1/10 bigger. So exactly what I needed. Let's go to this side. I put it here, for example, at 60. Jumps back to 51, almost 52. So that's 8 microns. Looks good. This 50. 57. I think it will work. All I have to do is cut it off here between the holes, this side and this side. Cut it off and then make a little slot for the screw. Now that will be hand filing. The time I need to set up the milling machine, I can make 10 of these slots by hand. And now you're gonna tell me that I should scrape it in to retain better oil. And I have 2 reasons not to do this. Because this part is not really a moving part. We set it just by hand a little bit and that's it. And the second reason is I hate hand scraping. Man, it feels good. Perfect. I think this proves again that on a shaper you can make whatever you want. Just do it.